my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art.
So glad you're with us. If you're watching on the AFA channel, live shot of fairly sunny Times Square today. We've got some nice weather to end the week with here in New York. Coming to you from the belly of the news beast, as we do every day in the shadow of the Freedom Tower, and glad to be here with you. 888-589-8840. My name is Kevin McCullough, and again, the phone number, 888-589-8840. You just heard the conversation with Allison discussing the judge's ruling in North Dakota. And friends, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not partisan on this stuff. I'm not bought and sold by a political party, and I promise you I never will be. I think parties are largely useless, but they in our construct, in our system, they at least give us two options to make the decision with. And in North Dakota, U.S. District Judge Daniel Hovland ruled that their abortion law, the first of its kind, to ban most abortions once a heartbeat is detected, was unconstitutional. The law, which would have banned abortions except in cases of medical emergency once a fetal heartbeat was detected, was signed by the state's governor last year. No real explanation on why he said it was unconstitutional. Unless you're just going to go along with this idea that this idea of freedom of choice really is a real thing. I mean, I've never understood the argument of the freedom of choice position. And let me explain why. If the child is, as I would argue, a human being, made in the likeness and image of God, ready to live life both inside the womb and outside the womb for the appropriate time necessary, if it is in fact a human being, how do you get around the idea that someone else is making a predetermined choice to end that person's life? That's a pretty simple no-brainer to me. You've got another human being that's in the mix. What we've said is, under the guise of choice, under the guise of pretending that this is going to be something that you get to choose, and we're going to call it morally neutral, we're allowing you to terminate another human being. I mean, that's ultimately what we're saying. So in the evaluation of the heartbeat measure, I guess it's okay that the judge said that this is unconstitutional, but it shows you one more piece of evidence, one more length that the progressive will go to shut out any idea of who God is, of what life is, and and how we should think about such things. And this is really, it's interesting. The news monitors for the last day have been playing and replaying the footage of the ferry that toppled in South Korea and the up to 300 children that may be lost in that. Total tragedy, total tragedy. No other way to describe it except abject horror and tragedy. That kids were last night or the night before texting their parents saying, I may not make it out. This may be our last chance to say anything to you. I mean, total horror in terms of what may have happened in those final few minutes on that ferry. They're still digging the hole. They're still trying to find the kids, et cetera, et cetera. We understand that. Why? Because children they're more innocent than grown-ups are. We look at them with the degree of innocence. We want to shield their innocence for as long as possible, and we want them to live productive lives, and we want them to turn out well. We have grand hopes for them. We want them to succeed. There's a natural cheering for the welfare of children that is just, it's not only morally good, it comes naturally. Somehow we have usurped that, the value that a child holds, by this artificial, insane, dastardly idea that someone's convenience in life is more important than another person's actual life. That's the value system we've recreated here. We've said it's more important for a couple, or for a man who doesn't want to bear the responsibility, or for a woman who may be afraid that her life is going to be impacted in an abject and negative way, that it's more important for those two to experience convenience of not having to deal with this issue or this problem, even for the mere time of pregnancy. Because, there's always the other option of adoption. But we've said, no, we're not even going to let our lives be interrupted for 9 months. That's how critical it is that we not be inconvenienced by this. And now as a culture, what we have said as a value system is the convenience for some is more important than the actual life for someone else. Now I ask you very simply, if your actual child was creating the same results in your house that you felt like a pregnancy was in your current situation, would you argue the same thing? Okay, so let's back up the tape. Your child is, as our 18-month-old was yesterday, 18 months old. The 4-year-old, running around the house, the ankle bite of the 4-year-old. Okay, yesterday delivered the knockout blow to their moms that I think most moms fear. We'd been able to go through nearly 6 collective years of childhood without these two doing anything even anywhere near this bad. But somehow late last night, or the night before last, the 18-month-old got sick of his wet diaper, got it off of him, got his pajamas undone, and then he just took a dump in the middle of the crib. And then he started smearing it everywhere, and it got dried in his hair and in his hands and all over the bed and everything else. And so the way that the lovely bride's life began yesterday was not on the list of things she had to do, but because her child came first, because our family comes first, it was literally cleaning up the excrement of life so that she could then get on to the other 18 bazillion things that have to get done for the family to be able to function in a proper way, so that then at the end of all of that, she can somehow take a breather and say, okay, Lord, thank you for this day. Now what would I like to do? Now, you know what she didn't get? She didn't get time for herself. She didn't get convenience for herself, because even after all of that was cleaned up and the 4-year-old came home from preschool, he decided he wanted some attention, so he made a mess in a certain way that she had to spend a significant time yesterday cleaning up, again, in addition to all the other stuff that had to be done. Now, we don't make the argument in a civilized society that these kids are burdening my time, that they're being inconvenient, that they're wearing me out, that they're dragging our lives down in such a way that I don't get to do what I want to do. But if we were intellectually honest, we would say what we need to do is allow that mother to have the same rights as the mother that hasn't even experienced the interruption of her life has when she says, I'm gonna get rid of this inconvenience. You see what we've done? We've elevated the inconvenience in some people's lives to be more important than the argument and the right for the child to actually live. Now, see, there's no one I hope there's no one in our country that would argue that the 4-year-old and the 18-month-old should be put down because they made their mother's lives inconvenient. But every person that argues about a woman's right to reproductive health is essentially arguing that you should have the right to kill your child. Now, the left hates it when I talk about things like this. There will be people at all the right-wing watches and everybody else probably write this up and call me some sort of lunatic, and that's fine. I bring it on. Whatever. But if you're going to be intellectually honest, and this isn't a partisan argument, it's an argument about what is central to the integrity of what we believe, and that is life is either valuable or it's not. But in our culture, and in certain corners of activism, we've elevated this idea that someone's convenience in their life, even for the immediate near future, is of greater value than of human life itself. See, when the judge in North Dakota said, I don't care if I hear the heartbeat, he's saying it should be okay to kill your 1-year-old and your 4-year-old. You're making the argument for infanticide when you hear the heartbeat of a child and you still say you should have the right to kill it. You're making an argument for the genocide of children when you see 3D ultrasounds and you see their ears and eyes and tiny little fingers and all of the features of their face and everything about them as a human being already fully formed and developed and beginning to grow. And you see all of that with your own eyes and say, no, it's a choice. Someone should have the right to be able to inject that person with a drug, cause their heart rate to slow down and die, and then to pull them out piece by piece, kind of like a chicken bucket, from their mother's womb and throw them away in pieces. You have to be of a satanic origin to look at such evidence and to say it's not a human being. There's got to be something there that you're missing the humanity gene at that point. And I think Allison's right in what she said. I think that's why I think that's why Roe v. Wade's going to go down. But people are going to fight for it. This mythical idea of choice is going to be the angle that they take and that they continue to talk about and try to celebrate. But make no mistake, friends. The dividing lines are being drawn. 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Let's go to the phones. Some of you have been very patient. Glenn in North Carolina, example of one who has. Hi, Glenn. Welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. Glad you're here.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate your position. And also, I think you very clearly defined the lines. We are allowing choice to preempt what are constitutional rights, and that is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And and I think we need to continue to sing these same songs on every hill and every corner, because that's what the left is hoping for. They're hoping that we will back down. They're hoping that they will outshout us. They're hoping that they will be the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. And as we continue to allow them to speak louder, even in the face of a tremendous amount of misinformation and outright lies, they will continue to gain ground. This is why the President of the United States visited Planned Parenthood. When he did that, that created, and this guy has done so many terrible things to our country, but that created even more acceptance in our community around abortion. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Project 21. It's a black think tank.
Yep.
And I received an email from them a couple of months ago. And here's an atrocity that's happening across our country, and particularly in New York. And I'm not sure whether it was New York City or New York State.
It's the city. The city's far worse than the state. Yeah.
6 out of 8 black pregnancies in New York end in abortion.
Yep.
6 out of 8 black pregnancies in New York end in abortion. And when you have the President of the United States endorsing a baby-killing organization like Planned Parenthood, in the minds of the less informed, this makes it even more acceptable. And so I just want to say I thank God for you. Thank God for you continuing to raise the banner, because we have got to start standing more collectively against the atrocities of evil that's permeating across this country, from the White House literally to the outhouse.
Glenn, thank you for the call, and thank you for your position and your outspoken nature. Pray that you'll use that binge thinking to great effectiveness where you live. Let's go to Frank in Kentucky. Hi, Frank. You're next with Kevin McCullough. Hi. Frank, are you there? Hello, Frank. 321. All right,
Kevin.
Frank. Hi.
Yes. Hi, Kevin.
Yes.
Like I say, anyone that actually kills their baby, they're worse than an animal. You might disagree with me, but I don't think you will. Anyone that does that kind of thing, a human being can reason right from wrong, but an animal cannot do that. So, and furthermore, they talk about rulings. Rulings is not a law. Only the 6 the Congress can pass a law. A ruling is not a law. So, don't they know the difference? I don't understand it.
Okay, Frank, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Mac in Georgia. Mac, you're next with Kevin McCullough. Hi.
Thank you, Kevin. I was just wondering, what good is the states to have a law when another judge can come along and just override it anytime they get ready? Why can't another judge override him, Kevin?
Well, I think Allison referred to this, I think what they're going to do is fight this vociferously, and I wouldn't be surprised if this bill doesn't at some point make its way to the Supreme Court. I mean, there's probably a desire that it would on some level.
And another thing on Mr. Gandy in New Mexico, in Nevada, I'd like to see that ended really without any trouble. Really, I'm worried about it as far as Harry Reid, I think, is wanting to buy it, so I understand. And why wouldn't Mr. Gandy had bought that if he's been using all that time?
That's another subject for another day, Mac. I'm not talking about that today, but I appreciate your call. Thank you. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. We are talking about the overreach of government all the way into the womb, and this time overriding the voices of those in North Dakota. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us. This is AFA Today. Every weekday, Monday through Friday at this same time on this broadcast outlet, and it's on AFR Talk. Stay with us.